it's not a good solution.
Hello, hello. Welcome to that wonderful, wild poetry studio, where we do amazing adventurous feats, such as put words on paper using machines that no one ever uses anymore. And on that wonderful topic, today is New Typewriter Tuesday. Yes, indeed. It is the day of the week when I almost don't show my face, where I, here on the Poetry Studio, highlight not a new typewriter. I mean, there's like 2 or 3 different new typewriters out there, but it is, oh, hey, it's Claire's 15. Welcome, welcome. But not a new typewriter, but a new old typewriter, of course. So I'm going to bring down the music just a little bit as I show off my 1970s Olympia SM9, which is different than the typewriter I had yesterday. And I'm going to turn this light off so it makes it a little easier to see. So today, if you have an idea for a poem, and if you have an idea for my lamp falling down, goodness gracious, what's happening here? Take that out. But if you have an idea for a poem, you have an idea for any sort of creativity, it's going to happen on this machine today. This Olympia SM9 is a wonderful machine, flows like butter, frankly. It's one of the best made machines out of all typewriters. It was made kind of late. in the 60s and 70s in the manual typewriter era. So Claire 15 says, I've not used one of them typewriters in years since being in school. Yep. And I have a large collection of them, so about every week I rotate out the typewriters, unless people like the old one better versus the new one. And that is what I'm doing here with this one. So this one is from around the 60s. When I bought it, I bought it pretty cheap, and the platen, which is the roller up here, is really good with the rubber, which means that it's going to be really good for me to be able to use this one for a long time without much repair. My dad used to work on cars and buy cars, and so what he would describe this as is a turnkey machine. That it is a perfect little machine that's ready to just go off to the races, create poetry, and make wonderful things happen. Fun fact about this one is that if you wanted to get to the ribbon, it opens up like that, which I think is really cool. So it literally has like a hood. And here you can see all the keys, kind of tucked in here. A very crisp, nice typewriter for use. I am not a huge fan of this typewriter only because it has smaller typeface. Yeah, Claire does not remember what type of typewriter she used in school. A lot of times I get that with people is I'm like, hey, what typewriter might have you used? And it's like reaching back into those memory banks to try to find that out. But this is, it's not my favorite because of the typeface, because you'll see that the typeface is now a little, it's a little smaller. For this particular machine, not all the machines that were like this would have had that. Well, if you were using typewriters and about 45 would put you in 1975, you may have used one of these, but you may have also used some what's called daisy wheel typewriters, which have like a little wheel that goes back and forth and punches out the keys whenever you touch the key down, and those are electric typewriters. Would you like a poem this morning, Claire, from this wonderful machine? On any topic, any wild, wonderful weirdness, any joyful celebration? Yeah, it would have been the mid 80s. That's true, because I dated it all the way back to when you were born, which would have been 75, but you would not have been using a typewriter when you were in 1975. My thinking for a poem this morning. I had it. I literally had it when I was getting ready. I was sitting down. I think so the feeling of this machine is going to maybe be a metaphor for me this morning. Just the smooth flow of being able to write on something that is old but feels like new, in terms of this machine. And maybe just kind of going with that, creating with that. I had something else in mind, and I can't remember, and what's going to happen is in the middle of this, I'm going to remember, and I'll be like, okay, that's what I wanted to write about, but that's okay. And we'll get a little typewriter ding for everybody that's watching. This one has some minor margin issues, but nothing that can't be overcome. And then what I do is I just take my typewriter camera, I turn that on, and there we go. And you guys will be able to see as the poem comes together. And there we go. Just need to move it over just a little bit. And that's when I bring back my music. But that's too intense. Let's do something different. Oh, it's perfect. There we go. Just because it kind of provides a nice ambience to the typewriting, and the typewriting provides a nice ambience to the lo-fi. The music that's all featured here is Akira the Don's music. He is a lo-fi artist. That is wonderful and truly amazing. It would help if I turned the ink on. Hey, Disco. I was just showing off this typewriter. I'll take the screen out again. The new typewriter. This is my Olympia SM9. It is, it flows like butter. It's one of the smoothest machines I've ever used. So I think flow is the theme for this morning's poem, at least. And I don't know where that's going to take me, but we will see. There we go. I'm trying to think of something that isn't a wave metaphor. I love wave metaphors. It's more that I just don't want to overuse a wave metaphor. Thank you, everybody that's here. We have right now it's showing 4 viewers for me. Steve said it was about 5 at a certain point. Thank you so much for helping support the channel and getting me towards affiliate. I have some really interesting ideas for what I might be able to do in terms of helping use this channel. I'm kind of divided on it because on one hand, I want to make sure, that I'm doing well with this, putting work into this, and I've been kind of hoping that one day it could help support me, especially if we have like another round of the pandemic. Hi, Disco's mom. Hi, Christine. And but on the flip side, what I was really thinking is, and I forgot to start this morning with a poetry reading. I always do that. I always forget the poetry reading. But if I eventually get into the rhythm of the poetry readings, I could actually use it as sort of a pseudo literary journal where I could compensate the people whose poems I read. And I think that would be really cool because as a poet myself doing busking, I realize that there's so much value to when you're able to compensate artists for what they're doing. It's just a wonderful thing. So thank you all for your support. Thank you all for being here. If you have any ideas, thoughts, poetic musings, drop them in the chat. What were you ranting about on Facebook, if I may ask? Disco, if it is appropriate to mention in the chat. Steve did not realize that he had caps lock on. Oh no, that's terrible that they keep marking the videos for copyright. I could write a poem about that. I could write a poem about fighting the copyright gods. I'm sure Akira would appreciate that one too. Thank you very much, Patrick Smith, for popping in. we caught Disco is creating poetry. You know what we need? You know what we need, Disco, and that's what I'm going to do after this. We need a multi-syllabic takedown of copyright fiends. We were actually musing in the Hey Moggs, and we were actually musing in the Akira chat one day how cursing, while very effective, is sometimes just too short to truly express how we feel. So I will create an insult for Facebook that will rival all insults previous. It'll be a takedown poem. I don't usually like to write takedown poems. I like to be positive and uplifting, but if they're taking down your music, well, there's a fierce side to me. But first, a poem about flow state. That's really what came out. And thank you everybody for being here. This is a great crowd. And so what I like to do is if you have any ideas for poems, I can drop them in onto the typewriter. But we will, but so what the idea that Steve has given me is to do a takedown of those copyright fiends with the poem. But first, as I actually lower our beautiful lo-fi music, a poem about flow and flow state. State of ideas that never ends. The rush, the steady beat of the drum, a center where mind, soul, and body all be one. And the sun cycles hyperlapse past, taking our mortality to task. The faster we move to the end. And the bumps in the road, blips and mistakes of my musings, interrupting the endless flow of time. I want to climb to heaven on a slide. I want to descend to wonder in free fall, feeling the air, the texture, the smooth skin of youth, and escape the bonds of friction. Yet, would I then cease to live? That is Flow by Joseph. I feel that it's interesting because imperfections in time and space and who we are and people even are what make so many of our moments in life beautiful. The internet knows my dad. That's a poem. So we have Patrick Smith is fascinated that the internet knows him. That's so good. Yes. Well, hello to Patrick Smith's daughter. The internet indeed does know your dad. The internet knows a lot of things, a lot more things. So we need to get some intense music for this takedown. No. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Here we go. So, let us, well, thank you again so much, everybody, for being here as we take to task the copyright fiends of Facebook. What would be a good title for this poem? I'm trying to think what would be a good title. You know what? I'll start it without the title. Might move the camera over just a little bit. There we go, that's a little better. I think I'm going after Mr. Zuckerberg himself in this. The title of the poem is The Former Innovator. Ribbon reversal. There we go. All right, is that going to fix it? No. Hold on a second. We're having a technical issue with the typewriter currently because this is a machine that is... Hold on a second. Oh, come on. I'm having a ribbon issue. Sorry, guys. Why will this not go through here? Oh, it's because this is stuck. There we go. That's better. Now why is it not typing? There we go. I guess that's a key lock or something? All right, there we go. All right, we're back. Ribbon rewind, yes. There we go. I like that. The DJing typewriter. I'm borrowing a line from Patrick Smith. Destroying the free mind. All right. I kind of drifted into silence there as I focused deep on getting this poem done about how Facebook is issuing takedown notices for the disco community. I am checking in on some of the chats that we've had. This is more chats than I've ever had, I think, ever. This is amazing. Thank you guys so much. We have some throwbacks to old video games as well here. We have the ribbon rewind, constant ribbon rewind. There is a backspace button on typewriters, but it doesn't actually delete what's there. I use it when and sometimes what I'll actually do is I'll be able to type over a letter that I might have mistyped by backspacing it and just typing a little harder on it. But that didn't really happen here. This kind of just went in one take. How do you do emote on a typewriter? Well, that's a fantastic question. I mean, it has all the basic emoticons, so I can do I can basically do smiley faces. I can do all the typical stuff. The face like that. Exactly. There you go. But what's cool about the typewriter is with the flip of a switch, I can then start moving the paper around as much as I want, which means that you could start getting artistic with the placement of your letters. I've done a couple of things on it. I've done eyes. I can show you guys eyes. I've done little cherry trees. I've done stars. I've done flowers, all using the typewriter and then kind of just playing around with it a little bit more. Because that's the thing about emoticons. It's very hard to get good vertical on emoticons because you basically get one line, but on a computer, but on a typewriter, you can play around with the multiple lines feature. I'll make some cherry trees maybe. But are you ready for a takedown of the former innovator? Having nothing better to do than to try to wipe the disco crew from your pages, bland white spaces where groovy color once flowed. No one wants to line Mr. Zuckerberg's greasy sweatpant pockets anymore. Aging network clogged with advertisements. I see you working for the big guy, destroying the free mind, orchestrating classics, orchestrating classics in kindest fashion. Free socializing? You are a creepy, cold-hearted tyrant of the internet vine, letting all sorts of lies pollute our eyes while you tries to minimize beats and celebrating rhymes. Viper of sadness, I am no fan of your Terminator ways, trying to uncreate with your insatiable appetite to own everything. You, with the dropout attitude, you are no longer one of us, but one of them. And no matter what you contend, the streaming will never end. And that is the former innovator. A takedown of Mr. Zuckerberg. So don't go taking down all those beautiful disco videos, because I mean, it's sharing with the community. I feel like that when you stream with music, if I play music like I'm at a restaurant, I don't want people coming after me. So it's just so crazy. Well, thank you so much for the love in the chat. Really appreciate it. This has been awesome. I think that Claire wants me to create one of those cherry trees, right? I saw some. She said on there. Maybe is that for the cherry trees? I can create a cherry tree if you want to see a cherry tree. At least I like to think it's a cherry tree. It's some sort of cherry tree, or some sort of tree, I should say. And that's something which over time I want to experiment with more, is working on being able to create more and more artistic types of things, just to kind of show how the typewriter can really break outside the bonds of, you know, typical just written words. And let's get a piece of paper in there, bring back our audio. So when I'm doing cherry trees, hold on a second, there has to be a way. There we go, that's what I need. All right, so I've taken off the thing that holds the gears in. So if you hear, what it is it's locked into the gears right now, but there's a button that allows me to take it off the gears. And then I just have to hold this down, and then I can kind of do what I want with it. I've never created a cherry tree live before. I've usually been able to create one, and then if I mess up, I'm able to create another time. But let us see how I do with this. Now, part of what makes a cherry tree good is that stars on the other typewriters I have are pretty big. But this is not the case with this one, so I do not know how this is going to come out. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. Alright, so I've got some of that cherry tree action going. There we go, we don't have to corner a little bit more. Now I want to get closer to the top. For anybody that's just tuning in, I'm doing typewriter art for the first time on this stream. I think this is a good special occasion to do that. So you can see that it kind of got some areas where it's like breaking off a little bit, but I'll just see here. So it's a little less of a cherry tree because it seems that I messed up the stem, but I've kind of got a little stump there, but there you go. So that is what a little tree, and I can do that on some of my poems. Yeah, the paper got a little bent out of shape, but that's all right because ultimately the cherry tree happened. That is a little cherry tree. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Claire says that is mint. And so I can add those to some poems that I do, but I don't claim to be visually artistic yet. I really do want to work more stuff like this into my poetry. But like using this method, I can probably create like, you know, pine trees, potentially oak and other trees, but that would also require some colored typewriter ribbon. Cool. Well, I do have time for one more poem if anybody wanted to request a poem. Otherwise, I may say that this is oh, I love something for me and send it over to Manchester, UK. What would you like your poem to be about, Claire? It could be about any topic. You could pick something random. You could pick something that has been, you know, you could pick something like love, which is something that I've done a million times before, but always love doing. Oh, we've got tree emojis in the chat. One of the questions I love asking people when I commission poems, if they're having trouble coming up with the topic, is I always like to ask what is bringing them excitement in their life right now. What is bringing them joy? What is bringing them energy? And a bingo bango on the spot poetry. Do you have anything that you would like to put into the chat, Claire, for that? Otherwise, what I will do is I will write a poem about just a wonderful community on the internet that's helping celebrate just artists, creators, music, DJers, everything. I would celebrate this moment is probably what I would write. Let me get. Ah, there we go. See, that's mind meld. That's there. I knew that you were going to say something along those lines. Wow, that's incredible. Cool. All right, on we go. I hope we're not having, oh my goodness, this typewriter. Wow, That's not a lot of ribbon. We just went through the entire spool of ribbon on this stream. I don't even know how that happened. Wow, this is gonna be a pain in the butt to fix. What is going on? What is going on? Uh-oh. I might have broken my ribbon. Oh, that would be extremely unfortunate. Let's see here. What is going on? Oh goodness. I have a ribbon snafu that's starting to develop here. But I am not sure why. There we go. That's a little better. No, but it pulled out over there. Let's see if I can finish this poem. But I will definitely be able to finish this poem. That's not a question. And in part, actually, you want to know something? You're getting a treat. I gotta find my ribbon tin. Here it is. So I've been hiding this, but I think this is a good time as ever to break it out. I mean, we have more people than I've ever been on here. And anyway, I think that especially, you know, Claire and everybody else here, special treat. Let's figure this out. Replacing the ribbon on the typewriter is not very hard. It just takes a little bit of time, especially when you're putting in rainbow colored ribbon. And I don't know how this is going to work in the middle of a poem. I think this is going to work pretty nicely. We'll see. Yes, exclusive indeed. That is indeed a rainbow ribbon. So as I type, the colors will continue to change across the typewriter. Just to keep an eye out on it. So now you're going to see me change ribbon. You know, depending on whether Akira wakes up on time this morning or not, we might actually even be able to raid Akira's channel from here. I have never set up a Twitch raid. So let's see. Yep, you see, so ribbon disconnected from the ribbon spool. We'll fix that later. Oh my goodness. So many hearts. So typewriter economy is weird. Like, I bought this typewriter for 25 bucks US dollars. It works perfectly. It works like the day it came out of the factory. Maybe the ribbon return mechanism, as we've seen, has been a little wonky, but other than that, it's a really good machine. There's actually people that I know in the UK that refurbish and sell machines. When somebody refurbishes and sells a machine, you're getting a guaranteed good machine, but it's usually very expensive, like several $100s. So, but if you look around your neighborhood, you might find that somebody's selling a typewriter, but it's going to be just like buying a used car. You know, you spend 30 bucks, maybe you get something that's great, maybe you get something that's terrible, not such a terrible investment. I can fix mine, and so that's why I don't mind taking that risk all the time, because I know that if I get a lemon, I can fix it. Like today, Tuesdays are also typewriter repair days, so at 12 o'clock EST, which I don't know what that time is for you guys, I'll be working on repairing Skywriter, Smith Corona Skywriter. All right, so that ribbon's in. I just need to tuck this in here. Claire, what is your favorite color? We're going to start on that color, and then it's going to flow from there. Thank you, Olympia, for making the change of ribbon so easy. So easy. So there we go. And if I go back to my typewriter camera, you guys will see. All right, I got to tuck this back a little bit, and you'll be able to see. You look in that, here, if I turn the light on, you'll be able to see a lot better. So you can see that the color is changing inside there, where the ribbon is. Red, we have an emphatic red answer, which is funny because I actually had red ink on my ink spool anyway. But, all right, coursing through to, it's going to pinks to reds. There we go. All right, here goes nothing. Now I just got to get back to where I was on the poem. want to make sure that the ink is visible, and that's important. Did you know, said Ken Jones, that typewriter is the longest word you can type using only a single row on the keyboard? Indeed. That is so cool. At least on this keyboard. I will potentially, this is definitely a long-term project. I will potentially be getting and then using a typewriter with a wildly different keyboard arrangement. Wildly different. That's the cool thing about New Typewriter Tuesdays. I haven't even brought out the old guns. I haven't even brought out my 1920s Corona 3 and my 1918 Oliver 9, which uses a totally different mechanism. Becoming unbound by wires in the confines of black and white. See, Disco Newstorm, I accidentally bought an Italian layout keyboard. I actually have a typewriter that is in Cyrillic. So Whisper is private message on things. So yeah, if you whisper your address to me, Claire, then I'll have this out by the end of the day today. There we go. And there are ways that you can fix your layout, Steve Disco Newsom, if that's ultimately what comes up, is I think you probably have to just pull all the keys out. Yeah, and I know a friend that has a typewriter with a Spanish keyboard, and he would always there'd be one letter that would be out of the way, and it would just be, you'd have to retype it and retype it and retype it. So, final poem of the day. I do not know. We might just hang out until Akira goes live and then raid Akira. And it might take me literally 10 minutes to figure out how to do that. But I want to thank everybody that has been here so far. This is the poem Wireless. It is half black and white, and then it escapes its black and white confines to become a colorful panoply. Some of the words are hard to read because the ink is very, very wet, for lack of a better word. It's very very dense on the thing because I haven't used it a lot. Claire says she loves it, and I haven't even read it yet. Maybe she was reading it as I was typing it. Wireless. Magic held in many devices, devising our friends, family, and communities divined by waves and sparks across continents. Words on the screen become wireless, fly into the very depths of my soul. Picturesque faces crying with laughter, smiling with emotion form the visage of vibrancy before me. I could hold all your hands, embrace and shatter the expectation even without leaving my home, taking loneliness away for good, becoming unbound by wires and chains in COVID days and escaping the confines of black and white. Colorful canopy of living and giving together. This is the complete wavelength. Us together dancing in every typed key, shaking hips with words and rhythm, and the music connecting heartthrobs to my eyes, encouragement to my ears, and the world to the screen before me. This is Wireless. And that is for Claire 15, celebrating all of the online communities that we have here and all of the energy that we've been celebrating. A lot of my poems end up that way, but I can't not do it. Like, life's too short to not celebrate everything that we have around us. There's a quote from a monk that I like, where it's that he talks about how he's standing on a street corner in a city and he doesn't realize oh yeah, absolutely, I'll sign it. He doesn't know how to say and how to tell people that everyone about him is shining like the sun. And that's what it's like, is that we have our experience, we live life, but really what I hope my job is, and it was funny, like I had someone else tell me, they train seeing eye dogs. And they were like, oh, it's just mundane, like not compared to what you do. And I'm like, my job is to show you that everything is beautiful. The mundane is beautiful. That the hours that Steve Disco Newsome is posting and trying to share his streams so that more people can get that energy, fighting those fiends over at Facebook. The amount of time he puts into creating his stream, the amount of time Akira puts into creating his stream, all those things, that they're beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go on my Twitch so that I can see if Akira the Dawn is streaming. So Akira tends to stream sometime between 8 o'clock and 8:15 to Claire. 10, 20, 20. We had such good poetry came out of today. This was so awesome. It was really cool. So if you want to hang out, this is going to be really incredible. I got to figure out what we're going to do from now until then. I guess I can write more poetry. I mean, that wouldn't hurt. I could read the poem I was originally going to read in the beginning and kind of talk about it. But if you're here, what we're going to do is after we're going to stream until at least at the latest 8:30, but before that likely. And I'm going to take us and I'm going to transport us across space and time into Akira the Dawn's morning show, which is a and Steve Disco is going to keep an eye out to see when he's live, which is great. Akira the Dawn is a DJ artist who also creates music called Meaning Wave, which is the instrumentals of which you're hearing when I do my stream. Just very inspiring music. pulling quotes from various philosophers, and really helping expand the mind and create joy. So I am more than honored to be able to help bring a raid into his channel. It would be really cool. But yeah, so I'll read some of the comments because there was so much gold in the comment feed that that we didn't get to do. And I love the idea of being able to raid together as well. I haven't been able to do this, and this is just an incredible opportunity. So Ken Jones says, love how as humans, we are all different. My skills lie more math than English, but we all pool them together to make the world a brighter place, and that melts my heart. Yeah, who told me something really interesting about that? It was one of the most incredible experiences I had with a veteran, actually. Well, not a veteran. He's actually actively serving. This guy comes up to me asking for a poem on the street. My usual thing, believe it or not, this is not my usual thing. My usual thing is I sit on the Old Town Winchester, Virginia, USA walking mall, and I write poems there. And this guy comes up to me and says, I want a love poem with my wife. And I always want to know what's the interesting part, what's your story about your relationship? And he's like, well, I'm not going to, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but, we both serve in the military and we aren't together for most of the time. And they have a kid running around and everything. They have been making marriage work separated because they're both serving the country. And I thought that was amazingly loyal. And so I said, well, thank you for your service. And he says, well, thank you for your service. He said, I'm tired, it's customary here. I don't know how it is in other places that when you see someone on the street that is military, I tend to, you just say, oh, thank you for your service. You do something that's pretty incredible. You put yourself in harm's way for our country. There's obviously moral questions on whether we support or are against wars, but always just the people that are doing that are really making a sacrifice. And he said, well, stop. He said, don't say that to me because thank you for your service. Thank you for what you're doing. And I was just blown away because here's this guy that's making way bigger of a sacrifice than I am. And he's thanking me. And so that's my feeling on gratitude for other people and what they do. So I don't know if you do a job in math, and I would be really interested to know if you do, Ken, but thank you for what you're doing with your math skills. And thank you everybody here for everybody's little service that they're creating in the world. And that is just incredible. So in honor of New Typewriter Thursday, as we are waiting for our Akira the Dawn to start his stream, I'm going to read a poem by my friend Mark Peterson that is about nostalgia, which I think is very fitting for the old typewriters and everything like that. For people that are tuning in, this is not one of my usual machines that I have on here. This is an Olympia SM9, of which I had to change the ribbon in the middle of our stream. But that is perfectly fine, of course. This poem, this is by another street poet named Mark Peterson. I'm actually going to be putting his link to his website in the description, in the chat, so you guys can check him out too. Always want to prop other poets. Totally. Yeah, that's it. I don't even know what he has up there right now. And I actually have another chat from Ken Jones. That is so much service that you're doing with your family. Ken Jones says that my wife had a stroke 20 years ago and 2 of my children are disabled. So I spend my time looking after that, but I have a passion for computer coding and I do that as much as I'm able to in the spare time. I have to, if that's all right with you, Ken, I'd like to write a poem for you because that's a lot of incredible service that you're doing. And I feel like the image of coding is something that if that's something that you would be comfortable with me doing. I usually say, hey, write, let me know what you want to write poems about. But I'd love to write a poem for you if that's okay. Because that's an inspirational story. Yeah, exactly. You're a diamond. Hey, Lucky. I didn't know if you were lurking or not, but welcome to the stream. Yeah, if that would be okay with you, I'd like to do that. And in the meantime, let me get some ribbon back onto this. My goodness, I have to pull out one of these ribbons. I can use this ribbon. That actually works just fine. I just have things dropping everywhere. Oh goodness, we have 15 in now. Yeah, we're preparing for a pretty epic raid. So let me write one more poem, if that's all right. I don't see Ken Jones responding here, but I'd like to write a poem inspired by his situation, if that is perfectly okay. But if at any certain point you do not want me to write the poem, Ken, just drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to, that's one of the things I also like about being a working artist. So I do consider myself a working artist. As you can see, I'm changing the ribbon. Let me see if I can actually show you guys as I do this. Ribbon change. There we go. Yeah, you guys can watch as I change ribbon. So I do this as a business. I mainly kind of trying to field to do events outside of Twitch. Do stuff on in my city to be able to celebrate poetry and weddings and stuff like that. But so thank you so much, Ken, for giving me that permission. But one of the other things that I really do value is and I really should just keep this ribbon on one typewriter so I don't keep messing it up. I got all the black ink on it. That'll help. Okay. Sorry, typewriter technical issues. I was saying something about how, goodness, I lost my train of thought. How, as a working artist, I have to do a certain number of things, obviously, to support myself and support my family. I have a wife and a dog, no kids yet, but soon, probably. But there are moments also, and that's the great thing about being a working artist, where I can say, hey, this isn't like I just want to write about this. Like I can break from the rhythm of the business to do something which is truly a creative moment. So let us set up our new ribbon right on stream. Hello, typewriter ribbon. This is such an easy way to put the ribbon into this machine. I'm so surprised. I thought this was going to be a pain in the butt. Hold on a second. I can't. There you go. All right. So that box goes around here. So changing ribbon in typewriters is a thing that now Twitch has, which it didn't have before probably. Oh, that's funny. Oh, goodness gracious. So close. We're so close. See, look at my hands. Covered with ink. All right. Oh. We just sent you guys on a rip-roaring trip. Alrighty. Let me get... And thank you all again for being here. Wow, we have a real crowd in here. We are writing a poem in celebration of Ken Jones, who takes care of his wife and kids while also coding. One of my few actually published pieces was when I did a flash fiction of someone having an anxiety attack, but did it in computer language. I'm not a coder. I like to pretend I know coding. But And we should bring back our music since I'm typing again. What do we got playing right now? Oh, this is a great song. Pretty epic sounding. Claire said, I meant to be going shopping, but this is definitely more interesting. That is a wonderful compliment. I appreciate it. Maybe. Ken, that means a lot, but it means a lot that what you do, and I hope that this poem really does speak to that in a way. The title of the program is Run Program, care.exe. Inputs and outputs, suggesting to the AI that it might make a moment, a loading screen or sheen of command easier. This code of our DNA, seeing those we love struggle through unpatchable bugs, and finding every workaround that we can paste in, furiously and fantastically writing inspiration in between the lines, uploading to our community the devotion we never did see. Routines of machine learning take to speaking in new understanding ways. Those million hours spent taking each step into careful consideration make you the chips, the motherboard fathering a firmware heart full of promise. You go one step beyond the servers and etch into this world, that house, unmatrixing the chaos and becoming the most essential program these human hearts could see. Thank you again, Ken Jones. I'd be more than glad to send this poem over to you, and just send that over and celebrate what you've been doing. I am going to, and thank you everybody again for being here. I'm going to check Akira. Akira is indeed live, so I think that we will be able to raid him. So, and I'll believe it or not, I'm going to ask right out. I don't know, do you use Streamlabs, Disco? I don't know if you are still in the chat. And Ken, thank you again so much for your sharing your story. So what I'm thinking is that I'm going to attempt to raid by going /raid Akira the Dawn. And I'm going to see what Streamlabs does. And then we're going to see how this all works. I've never done this type of thing before. So let's see. Thank you again all for being here. Thank you again so much for being part of this channel. If you can follow, that would be absolutely wonderful. I'm thinking we're going to be affiliate after this because this is 13 people and this is going to absolutely blow my averages out of the water, which means that we will start getting together some emojis. I already have a typewriter emoji set up, which is, believe it or not, a historical moment because the whole typewriter community came together to try to get a typewriter emoji in the regular emoji library, and they absolutely rejected us. So we are resurrecting the typewriter emoji. If you would consider subscribing that after the fact, that would be absolutely wonderful, but it's whatever you guys feel comfortable. Do I post the poems for reading? So that's actually a really good question. So I sometimes post them, but usually I haven't. If you want to see a picture of any of them, Yes, Steve Disco. I need emotes. I will. We will message and whisper, and we will set that up. So I can send you any pictures of the poems if you want to send me your email. My email. I'm going to drop it in the chat. That's my email. Feel free to copy that. Send me an email if you want to get any picture copies of the poem, and I will mail copies out of the poem for Ken and Claire. Those are more than just basically gifts. I'm really glad to celebrate it. I do ask for or suggest a donation or a subscription if you are interested in getting copies otherwise. But for you guys, I'm just going to send it out. And Disco, I did the same. Thank you again so much. Let's see. Okay, so Disco, you're in the chat. If I'm on Streamlabs and I do the raid thing, it should just work. So hold on a second. It says when your stream ends. All right, so I'm gonna attempt to raid. All right, here we go. So I'm going to do raid Akira the Dawn. Okay, great. 11 viewers are ready to raid. All right. You guys enjoy Akira the Dawn. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being an amazing audience. You have a wonderful day. All right, I think I'm gonna end the stream now.